I'm glad to have you here in Container News to discuss about terminal operating system trends and how new technologies have impacted your field of expertise.
Thank you so much. Looking forward to the conversation. I mean, TOS is what we do every day, so more than happy to discuss what we see and what's happening in the industry.
That's nice. So, for our readers, would you like to give us a brief about your position, your title, and which are your tasks, let's say, at Kaleris?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm the vice president of products for Kaleris, which used to be known as Navis. Before now, with Kaleris, the family is a little bit bigger, but the terminal operating system continues to be one of our core businesses. I've been with the company for about 13 years, and I've been in the industry for roughly 16 years, I think now. And during that time, I've had the opportunity to work in different projects for container terminals, always related to terminal operating system. And many of those projects related to automation and optimizing container terminals. So that has been a huge chunk of my career since I joined the industry.
Okay, that's great. Would you like to give us an overview of how terminal operating systems have been evolved in the recent years, and how the new technologies have contributed to this change?
Yeah, I mean, it's been very interesting to be close to the terminal operating system. At the end of the day, I think the role of the terminal operating system is becoming more critical over the years. If I go back 10, 15 years, the TOS was like a planning tool. It was more of like a support for operations. It was even, you could see like sometimes if the system was not available, for instance, at some terminals, terminals were able to continue to run operations in a manual fashion kind of way until the system was available again. And it was a nice graphical tool to kind of help vessel planners, ER planners, people in operations to really run operations. But it wasn't as critical as it is today. Now it is hard to believe that a terminal can go into a manual way if the system is not available. Now is a completely mission critical system. Our customers rely on the TOS to run operations, to make real-time decisions. And if the system is down, the terminal practically stops. So that's how critical it's become. And I think that evolution is very important because it really impacts the way we make the software. We need to think more about scalability. We need to think more about system availability and so on. And it's at the end a system that needs to be running 24 hours every day, providing that performance that our customers need, and providing flexibility depending on how the business of our customers are going. What we need is differently, right? So it's become more of a terminal operating system these days, which is our customers completely rely on, versus before it was more of a planning, supporting tool, and so on and so forth. And obviously, we can go deeper into what kind of technologies and things we've changed so far to be able to support this. But I think that's the major change. Is really becoming a mission critical system that is really our customers are relying on.
I see. And were there any specific highlights, milestones in that transition from just a planning tool to, let's say, a necessary feature of current terminals?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the way our customers handle operations is also become more complex. So then we needed to think about these two things. We need to think about, okay, we need all these scalability and system availability in one hand. On the other hand, we need the system to become smart, right? Because our customers are handling more volumes every day, many times with the same space. Like if you look back the last 10 years, many of our customers are handling 30% more volumes. And at the end of the day, many times with the same space. Sometimes they're able to expand a little bit. Sometimes they're able to add a little bit more equipment. But in many cases, there's just the same space, 30% busier, how do you do that, right? So in one hand, they're so busy that they don't have time for stopping the system or doing upgrades or any kind of downtime, whether it's planned or unplanned. On the other hand, they're requiring the system to continue to evolve and becoming smarter. So they need tools that can really support the users and the terminals to run operations every day. It's got to a point where just human beings alone cannot scale at the level that the terminals need to manage the flexibility that terminals need these days, the volumes, services changing on the fly, sometimes operating at 80% utilization in the yard, sometimes operating at 50%. So things are so dynamic these days and so complex that you need a system that is smart. And a lot of the tools that we're building are falling in that category. So to summarize a little bit, what you see is, and what you will see, for instance, in our roadmap and our strategy, is that there are two fundamental pillars. One is to make sure that the system scales and the system is stable. So that's the technology aspect of the TOS. Excuse me. The second one is everything related to optimization. Everything, all the tools and features that we do to make the TOS really smarter and be able to really provide them additional efficiency that our customers are asking for. Those are the two pillars, and everything sits on top of it.
Yeah, I see. And do you see, let's say, an increased demand in terminal operating system providers in, let's say, crisis periods? Like, we in the shipping industry, we see Red Sea crisis, Ukraine war, now with the latest protection measures by United States with tariffs, etc. Do you see an increase demand from your clients, from your potential clients in this periods of challenges?
Yeah, we do. So COVID was another example, by the way, if you want to throw it in there, for instance, of what's happening. Again, if you go 10 years ago, you could see that our customers' business were a little more stable in the sense that they would have like similar services every week. It's more repetitive, let's say, and they would have more opportunities or more days without operation. So what happened with that is you can prepare better. You have more time to really prepare. If you need to do any kind of system or servers upgrade, you can use one of those windows to do that. You always working with the same services, so you know what to expect. The volumes were more stable as well. Obviously, they go up and down, but for the most part, containers were functioning at a 50, 60, 40% utilization. So that was the scenario before. They've been getting more busy, but also we have all these type of events that you described. So for instance, in COVID, you have that terminals are all of a sudden not busy because people are afraid and there is uncertainty and they don't know what to do. So they're shipping less things. So all of a sudden there is space. But then people start working from home, for instance, and everybody starts like ordering a desk or ordering a lot of like office things at home that before you didn't have. People were doing shopping at home and, all those kind of things. The behavior change of the user at the end of the day. So the volumes came back in a big way. And on top of that, we didn't have enough like trucks to take all of those containers to the final destination. So container terminals were used as storage facilities to some extent. So they were super busy. So that's one example. Recently with tariffs, some of my customers were telling me that they were afraid of something similar. So volumes going down because tariffs, but then when things get stable because the United States and China get to an agreement, then all of those volumes come back all at once. And then they're super busy again. So my point being, the level of flexibility that they need these days has completely changed. That's one of the different demands that they have today compared to what it was before. It's just they need a system that is able to like completely adapt to whatever circumstances they have today. One day they're running the yard at 40% capacity, the next day at 80% capacity. They don't have time and an army of people to come in and change the strategy and clean things up and be ready for that 80%, because it literally happens almost overnight. So that, again, it requires a system that behaves differently, and also eliminate those windows, those periods that I was describing before, where customers were able to get ready for the next operation. Now everything happens on the fly. They need more intelligence, and they need systems that are more robust than what they were doing before. That didn't happen 10 years ago. That's really like a recent phenomenon, I would say, especially since COVID.
Okay. And are there any notable geographical trends or characteristics among your client base? And except of your client base, do you see any specific geographical trends in your field, in terminal operating system market?
Yeah. I mean, there is definitely, it's always been a little bit like that. Like every region behaves slightly different. In an industry, you see particularities. A lot of it is because, some regions, for instance, are more concerned about labor cost or finding talent, while in other regions that's not a problem, right? One thing that I recently see is in certain regions of the world, certain parts of Asia, certain parts of Latin America, nobody was interested in things like automation, for instance, or other kind of technologies that can somehow automate processes or equipment. That is changing. I'm guessing that the reason that was happening, they were not interested in automation, was again, in many countries, like the labor cost is maybe not a big concern, so they struggle to see or to see the business case or to justify the business case for automation. Now that is changing. Obviously, maybe the labor cost is going up because those countries are becoming more advanced, and that is changing. But the other thing that I think is changing is just the technology is different now. Like before, if you wanted to automate a container terminal, you had to like build the terminal from scratch, and that was a humongous project with civil work and so on and so forth. Now with technologies like automated RTGs or automated trucks, you can retrofit the existing operations, and you don't have to do it all at once. You can have a few RTGs, yard cranes, that are automated, and the rest of the yard being manual. They can coexist with each other. So you can do it in a stepwise approach. And I think that's changing the dynamic on how these economies are behaving. So you see in Latin America now, there are multiple terminals that are looking at doing automation and doing it this way, like one yard crane at a time, maybe a few trucks at a time. So they're going to do it over time and step by step. Again, because the technology now allow you to really do it that way, right? To have the traditional operation and the automated operation coexisting and functioning at the same time. We picked on that, and we make sure that the way we develop our features within the TOS allow for that transition in a stepwise approach, one crane at a time, one truck at a time, so customers can do it in a comfortable way. So I believe this is going to be a path that a lot of container terminals are going to follow. Again, Latin America, Asia, maybe Africa, in many places in the world, with RTG operations being the most common operation that we have out there. That's a trend that we're going to start seeing, I believe, especially in countries where automation maybe before was not possible. Now there is a door that opens.
And is there any difference in your approach? If, let's say, you talk with a less developed terminal instead of an established one?
There is. Automation is one topic that made us start thinking differently. But the other thing that happened in the last years or so is that kind of made us think differently. And I'll explain the approach in a second. But the other trend that's important that's happening over the years is we don't have as many brand new terminals as we used to have. Now we have like brownfields that are kind of like expanding or just changing the operation mode or doing some kind of project, right, to get better and to try to improve. So if you look at, again, 10, 15 years ago, innovation in this industry was happening in brand new terminals, greenfield terminals, that were being built. Because when you build a container terminal from scratch, that terminal has no customers, has no volumes. So innovating is less risky. You can throw a lot of technology in there.
Okay.
You're not impacting any existing business. And you have a little bit of time to ramp up the technology and make it function at the level that our customers are expecting. That's the way we used to do innovation. Now, because we don't have as many brand new container terminals, that has changed. Now we need to innovate on existing terminals, and existing terminals are busy. They're full of containers. The utilization is pretty high. They have vessels all the time. They don't have windows to deploy software. You can't really approach things the same way. So it's everything is now like in a stepwise approach. Customers look at innovation and say, I want to do it in my existing terminal. I want to do it one step at a time, and I want to have strategies to mitigate the risk. I cannot really drop the service level that I'm offering.
So you have to find a way to implement your solutions in a live environment.
Exactly. You have to de-risk it. You have to innovate in an existing site. But again, you cannot impact operations. So whether you're doing automation, which is the case that we were talking about before, right? Where you want to implement automated RTGs, one RTG at a time. Or if you're doing the deployment of a new optimization solution, for instance, right? In both cases, is the same case. You cannot just go and do a big bang approach. You gotta find ways to deploy the solution maybe in a small part of the yard. Make sure that the customer is comfortable with the solution. It's not just about the solution functioning well, is the change management behind it, right? That you might deploy a new solution, maybe it works fantastic, but people are not used to it, and that will cause problems, right? So you need to be able to deploy solutions like maybe in a small area in the yard, maybe in one block, maybe in one yard crane, maybe in one truck, and then expand progressively as our customers get comfortable with the solutions and they see the results. That means the software needs to be built differently. That means you might need to, if you have an RTG terminal and you're running 25 RTGs, that means that 20 RTGs might be running in the old solution and 5 RTGs are running in the new solution. Okay. And then you go from 5 to 10 to 15 to 20 and so on and so forth. So that kind of technology is what we're doing. So we don't stop innovation, because otherwise it's really like customers cannot afford having downtime or having their performance drop, and the industry will slow down in terms of innovation. So this has been our approach: develop the solutions this way so we can really continue to push the industry forward.
Okay. Is the training of personnel another, let's say, challenge in that process of implementation?
Yeah, the training or change management is a little bit of both, right? In certain cases, it's just people used to doing things in a different way for many years. So you need to let them, ramp up to the solution, get used to it, and so on. Same thing. If all of a sudden you change a process, for instance, because there is a new solution in place, and you change the process for the entire terminal with hundreds of employees or hundreds of operators, imagine the potential chaos. And again, if you're a greenfield terminal, you're a brand new terminal, you have very low volumes, you have the luxury of, okay, there's a little bit of chaos, you have time to recover, no problem. If you have, if you're a terminal that are moving 5 million TUs a year, imagine the personnel, right? So for instance, we collaborate a lot with PTP in Malaysia, Tanjung Pelepas. That's a terminal that, I don't know, moves more than 10 million TUs a year. If you go there, that terminal is like the Disneyland of container terminals. They have like 56 key cranes, 250 RTGs, 500 trucks. The place is massive. So imagine like the thousands of employees that you have there. You change the process for everybody at once, is absolute chaos. You just cannot scale that way. So you have to do it in chunks the same way. And you need to have a system and a solution that enables container terminals to do it that way, right? To say, okay, we're going to take a group of people, a small part of the terminal, a few yard cranes, a few trucks. That's where we're going to try the change management. what they do is they rotate people in and out of that particular area, which it becomes like a test facility, right? But in a live production fashion. And they rotate people around it. So people learn and learn and learn and learn and learn. They embrace the new process or the new solution or the new anything that you're introducing. And then you start expanding the same way. That way it happens in an organic way. The same people, the same employees or, operations people or operators, whoever is affected by that, they become the champions of the solution, the champions of the change, and they help pushing it to the rest of the facility.
Yeah, I see. And what about the new vulnerabilities, the new challenges that may have arisen due to the new technologies of the industry?
Yeah, so I guess you're asking about things related to cybersecurity and things like that.
Sure. Yeah. Sure.
Yeah. It is definitely something that was not in anybody's agenda not that long ago. Like nobody thought like that. Also, the TOS is kind of this system that in most cases was deployed on-prem. So in the customer infrastructure. So again, you go back 10 years ago, and other than the basics, cybersecurity or vulnerabilities or anything like that was not really in our agenda. Maybe a customer from time to time would ask about something, but it was really an afterthought some years ago. That has completely changed. Cybersecurity has become so serious. Even if the system is deployed on-prem, is still important. Even if it's deployed in the customer infrastructure, is still very important. And it's not a one thing that you address once and you're done. It's really an ongoing thing. For instance, we use in our solutions third-party libraries, and those third-party libraries sometimes get upgraded to deal with vulnerabilities. Every time they do, we need to upgrade the libraries inside of our software too and deliver that software. So we need to have now like a continuous program, again, not a one-off thing, a continuous program that is always looking for vulnerabilities. We have third parties doing audits in our solutions, and they come up with a list of things that, hey, you got to fix all of these things. And we prioritize based on criticality. Now you need to have communication protocols to tell customers, hey, these vulnerabilities, we don't say the specific, but hey, there are vulnerabilities and cybersecurity fixes that are in the software. They come in this version, you have to upgrade, and so on and so forth. So it's a continuous program of finding, fixing, improving areas that could be vulnerable, whether it is our own software or third-party software that is used embedded in our software, and continuously communicate and deliver those fixes to our customers, so we don't put them in a position where they could be at risk. So that is a massive change that is consuming a lot of our time, but it's absolutely necessary, and we take it very seriously. Also, customers now not only deploy solutions within their networks, they deploy our solutions in the cloud, or we deploy the solutions in the cloud for our customers. The solution is hybrid as well. So you have the TOS that many times is on-premise, but it is connected to community systems or other online services that sometimes are our solution, third-party solutions, our customer solutions. It's really a hybrid environment with cloud, on-prem, all connected with data flowing from one side to another one. And the way we architect the software obviously needs to change to adapt for that. And the last part is regulations. So in every part of the world, the regulation is differently. You have Europe is one regulation. In Asia is another regulation. Sometimes you need to host the solution within the country where the solution is used. Sometimes you have more flexibility. But whatever it is, you have to adapt to those regulations that are very regional in certain cases. So, vulnerability, cybersecurity, it just becomes a big item in our strategy, in our roadmap, because that is what the market demands, and because we need to keep our customers secure.
Okay. So my last question is actually about the decarbonization. I'm sure you have heard that there are many discussions and projects around the decarbonization of the shipping industry. So I would like to ask, how your product, and if you have seen that your product has contributed to less emissions at the terminals.
Yeah, so absolutely, is a very important topic with our customers come up quite often. Obviously, the biggest impact in the industry is those equipment vendors that are able to create more efficient equipment, right? Whether it's yard cranes or trucks or AGVs or any type. So kudos to them and the credit to them for creating either electric vehicles, electric yard cranes, or even if it's a more traditional fuel, the consumption and so on, it has reduced dramatically, which even hybrid solutions these days. What we're trying to do is we're trying to enable all of that. So in many cases, for instance, that new equipment that is more efficient or electric is automated. So we developed the software that is able to run that equipment as efficient as possible. And that's one way how we support having a more sustainable environment. The most important one, in my opinion, is we really try to use or to help the terminals to use their assets, their equipment, in the most efficient way possible. So I was using the example of PTP before. They have 500 trucks running that facility. 500 trucks, I mean, it's just an incredible number. We do develop the solution that optimizes that fleet of trucks. So the solution that is in charge of deciding what is it that the job that each of those trucks are going to do, where do they need to drive the container, where do they need to collect the container. So all that comes from the TOS. So imagine if you can run that fleet of trucks 20% more efficient. Immediately you're saving a massive amount of fuel. And if you do it, across 400 container terminals around the world, it really adds up, right? So I think that's the best way we can really contribute, is make sure that when we optimize the equipment, when we run the equipment, we do it in the most efficient way. We shorten travel distances. We make the equipment move less. I mean, just enough for making the operation as efficient as possible, but really drive shorter distances and eliminate waste, eliminate waiting times. For instance, when a truck is waiting at the key crane because the key crane is not ready to move that container away from the truck, that is time that the truck is still running and is contaminating, and there are more CO2 emissions. If we can remove that waste, if we can remove that wait time, and if we can help our customers to operate with less equipment, I think that is a very significant impact in terms of sustainability.
Okay, Carlos, thank you very much. Your insights were very interesting and very helpful to understand in what kind of way your field has been involved over the years.
No, thank you so much for having me anytime. I love talking about this topic, and anybody in my team, we can probably talk for hours about any of these things. So thanks for having me, and we'll do it again in the future to see how things are evolving.
Sure. Thank you very much.
Thank you.